I didn't realize he was standing behind me until I heard the glass shatter. I turned, and there he was, his face pale, his jaw clenched, his eyes locked on me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. Because 5 minutes earlier, I was laughing with my friends, rating exes like they were bad Tinder dates, and then I said it. I said that thing. About him. About the one thing I knew would ruin him. I don't even know why I said it. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't angry. I was just careless. And in one sentence, I humiliated the only person who ever truly loved me. The silence that followed? It was worse than screaming. Worse than crying. Because silence meant it was over. But if you think that was the worst part, just wait until you hear what happened next. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're watching this somewhere private. Because if you've ever said something you can't take back, this might hurt a little. I should have kept my mouth shut. That's the truth. But the thing about truth? It doesn't always stop you when you're in the middle of trying to be funny, or clever, or liked. It was a stupid game. A dumb roast your ex night that should have ended with cheap wine and worse decisions. But instead, it ended with Cole standing in my doorway, broken glass at his feet, and a silence so thick it felt like drowning. I hadn't heard him come in. Nobody had. Bro, we're just joking, Marcus had tried to say, but Cole didn't even look at him. His eyes were on me. Only me. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. He turned and walked out without a word. And just like that, the person who saw every side of me, good, bad, and messy, was gone. I should probably explain. Cole wasn't my boyfriend. Not technically. We weren't labeled, because I hated labels. He never pushed. He just stayed. Showed up. Cooked when I forgot to eat. Picked me up when I ghosted my responsibilities. And yeah, he was quiet. Not the kind of guy you brag about to your friends. But he was solid. Reliable. And I broke him. It started with a conversation that wasn't supposed to be serious. My friends and I had this habit, ranking red flags, telling bad date horror stories. That night, someone brought up an ex who cried during sex. That's when I said it. I laughed, and said, well, at least he had something to work with. Cole, not so much. A few people chuckled. One person went, yikes. Someone else said, damn, poor dude. And then it was over. The conversation moved on. Except it wasn't over. Not for Cole. Because he'd heard it. Every word. And now, I couldn't unsay it. I spent the next 3 days spiraling. I texted him. Nothing. I called. Straight to voicemail. I even drove by his place once, thinking maybe I'd see him outside and could just fix it. Apologize. Make it okay. But I didn't see him. And I definitely couldn't fix it. Then one morning, I woke up to a single message from him. It's not even what you said. It's that you said it to them. That was it. No goodbye. No anger. Just that. It gutted me. Because he was right. It wasn't about size. Or jokes. Or sex. It was that I betrayed him, turned something private into a punchline. And for what? A few cheap laughs? I started noticing how quiet my apartment felt without him in it. How I suddenly had to set my own alarms. How no one reminded me to eat. I thought about the way he used to fold my laundry without asking. The way he remembered my dog's vet appointments better than I did. The way he waited until I fell asleep before leaving, because I told him I couldn't sleep alone. How do you apologize for turning someone like that into a joke? I tried. I wrote him a letter. Old school. Pen and paper. I told him the truth, that I said something stupid, and I didn't mean it, and I hated that I hurt him. I left it at his door. I didn't hear anything back for a week. Then, out of nowhere, he texted me again. I'm dating someone. I thought you should know. I sat on my couch, staring at those words, wondering how you can feel abandoned and like a villain at the same time. And then I saw her. They walked past the cafe I always went to, hand in hand. She was tall, smiley, polished. I watched them through the window like some sad ex-girlfriend cliché. He didn't see me. But she laughed at something he said, and he looked free. That's when it hit me, he wasn't punishing me. He was moving on. And honestly, I hated that more than anything. Not because I still loved him, though maybe I did, but because I realized I was the kind of person someone needed to get over. Someone who hurt the one decent person who actually saw me. And now? Now I get to live with the punchline I created. Only I'm the joke. And there's nothing funny about that. They say time heals everything. But whoever said that clearly never tried to stalk their ex through someone else's Instagram. 3 weeks after Cole's text, I knew everything about his new girlfriend, Riley. I knew she studied art history. I knew her favorite brunch spot. I even knew she wore that perfume I used to pretend gave me a headache. It wasn't healthy, what I was doing. But you don't go from being someone's everything to being erased without trying to rewrite the narrative, at least in your head. So I told myself lies. She's a rebound. She won't understand him like I did. He's just trying to hurt me. But none of it mattered. Because even if it was a rebound, she still got the version of Cole I broke. And that version was better now. Meanwhile, I was unraveling. It started with small things. I'd stay up until 3 a.m. scrolling through old texts, trying to find when I started taking him for granted. I rewatched that one video where he made me pancakes shaped like my initials. I used to think it was cheesy. Now I cried through the whole thing. I avoided my friends. I hated how they looked at me now. Like I'd become someone unpredictable. Cruel, even. Because truthfully, I kind of had. Then, one night, I made the worst decision of all. I showed up at his place. Unannounced. In the rain. Like some walking red flag. I didn't expect him to answer. But he did. And Riley was there. Her arm around his waist. Her eyes sharp. "Do you need something?" she asked. Not rude. Not warm either. Just territorial. I stared at Cole. I thought maybe we could talk. His face didn't change. I don't think there's anything left to say. There was. I had so much to say. But instead, I nodded like I agreed. Like I hadn't rehearsed an apology for 2 weeks straight. He shut the door gently. And I stood there, soaked and silent, for 10 full minutes before walking back to my car. That night, I cracked. Not in a dramatic, movie-style breakdown way. It was quieter than that. I sat on my bathroom floor, surrounded by towels I never bothered to wash, and I cried like something inside me had rotted. Because it had. And I knew it. 2 days later, something unexpected happened. Marcus, is one of the friends from that night, texted me. "You okay? I miss your chaos." I stared at the screen. I didn't deserve kindness. Especially not from the people who watched me tear someone down for fun. But I needed a human. So I replied. We got coffee. He was different. Softer. Maybe I was, too. He didn't sugarcoat it. "What you said that night? It was get up." "I know," I whispered. "But you weren't always like that." I looked up. "What do you mean?" "I mean, before Cole, you never cared what people thought. You never trashed people for attention. You were just real." I don't know what changed. I did. I'd spent the last year craving validation from everyone but the one person who gave it freely. I laughed louder for strangers. Dressed for approval. Measured myself by reactions. And in doing so, I became someone I didn't even like. Someone who destroyed real love just to get a laugh. The next few weeks were quiet. I started therapy. It wasn't glamorous. But it was real. I learned that shame doesn't mean you're broken. It means you know you hurt someone and want to do better. I didn't expect redemption. I didn't expect Cole back. I just wanted to stop seeing the worst version of myself every time I looked in the mirror. So I cut ties with the people who fed the chaos. I deleted Riley's Instagram. I started journaling instead of spiraling. And one day, I woke up and didn't immediately think of him. That scared me more than anything. Because forgetting him felt like losing the last piece of something good. Then, 6 weeks after I last saw Cole, I got a message. From him. Just one line. "I heard you're doing better. I hope that's true." I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was hoping for a second chance, but because it was the first time I believed I might actually deserve one. Not with him. Just, in life. I didn't reply. Not yet. Because some stories don't need perfect endings. Some just need to end better than they began. I thought closure would feel like a clean slate. Like finally exhaling after months of holding my breath. But no one tells you that closure isn't a door closing, it's a mirror. And when you finally look, you don't always like what you see. After Cole messaged me, I didn't respond. Not because I didn't want to, but because I knew what I wanted didn't matter anymore. I didn't want to open a door just to watch him walk through it with someone else. So I waited. 3 days later, I ran into him. Literally, at the dog park of all places. I'd started going there every morning before work. It was one of the only routines I'd built without him. I liked that. But that day, he was there. Sitting on a bench, leash in hand, same old hoodie, looking like a memory I didn't know I still missed. I froze. He looked up. Saw me. Smiled a small, not sarcastic. Just kind. I walked over. I didn't plan it. "Hey," I said. "Hey." Silence. Then he nodded at my dog. "He looks good." "Yeah. He misses you, I think." Cole smiled again. "I don't think dogs hold grudges." I laughed. It cracked something open. We sat down on the same bench. It wasn't awkward. It was human. I wanted to ask about Riley. I didn't. He didn't ask how I was. He didn't need to. Then he said, "I read your letter." The real one. Not the first one. I blinked. The one you never sent, he clarified. Marcus showed me. Said you let him read it after therapy one day. I felt heat crawl up my neck. That wasn't supposed to. It was honest, he said. More than anything else you ever gave me. That stung. But I deserved it. I looked at him. I meant every word. Even the messy parts. I know. He paused. Picked at a thread on his sleeve. You don't need to keep punishing yourself, you know, he said quietly. I'm not, I replied. I'm just finally learning how to live with it. That was the truth. We talked for a while about normal things. Work. Pets. Weather. Nothing important. But then, right before he left, he turned to me. I did love you, he said. Even the parts you hated about yourself. I bit my lip. I loved you too. I just didn't know how to show it without breaking things. I know, he said. And then he hugged me. It wasn't romantic. It was warm. Final. Forgiving. Then he walked away. I watched him leave, and for once, I didn't chase him. That night, I sat at my desk and wrote myself a letter. Not for anyone else. Not to be read or shared. Just for me. I wrote about the way I used to measure my worth and how people reacted to me. How I thought being loved meant never being criticized. How I confused vulnerability with weakness, and weaponized humor to feel powerful. I wrote about Cole. About how I turned intimacy into ammunition. How I joked about something sacred to him, his body, just to feel seen by people who barely knew me. How I traded something real for something shallow. But I also wrote this. You are more than your worst moment. But you have to own it. All of it. Without excuses. And I did. I didn't send that letter. But I reread it every day for a week. Then one morning, I folded it in half, placed it in a box with some old Polaroids, and tucked it away in my closet. Not because I wanted to forget. But because I finally forgave myself. Months passed. I heard things, mutual friends, casual updates. Cole and Riley broke up. No drama. Just life. I didn't reach out. I didn't ask for a second chance. Because this time, I understood what loving someone truly meant. It means not needing to be part of their healing just because you caused their pain. It means letting them find peace, even if it's without you. And it means growing into someone you would want to love. I still think about him sometimes. Not with regret. Not with longing. Just with gratitude. Because losing him taught me how to finally find myself. And no punchline will ever take that away.